Hello, everyone, and I welcome you to this week's Friday Reflections. I'm Pastor Scott, one of the pastors at Trinity Lutheran Church in Lilburn, Georgia, and I thank you for taking the time to join me. Just a few announcements before we continue. Just a reminder that this coming Sunday, July 18th, our worship schedule is 9 a.m. outdoors and 11 a.m. indoors. If for some reason the weather does not allow us to be outdoors, we will have that 9 o'clock a.m. service indoors. Also, just a reminder that we do have fellowship now in our Hanbury Hall in between the services, so you're welcome to partake of that. Also, a reminder that towards the end of August, we are going to be the host site for collecting donations for Lutheran World Relief, which means we need a lot of help and a lot of helpers to make this happen, because we're going to be getting donations from all over the metro Atlanta area, and they're going to be coming to our parking lot, to the truck that is going to be parked there that we're going to have to help get packed. So in your weekly announcements is a sign-up sheet where you can go to sign up and help with that. And I understand it's especially important on August 27th and 28th, that Friday and Saturday, when people are bringing stuff to really help pack up that truck. So please pay close attention to that. And if you can help us out during those times, it would be greatly appreciated. And again, watch all of your announcements for things that continue to happen here at Trinity. And especially now as we're getting closer to the beginning of our fall programming, Rally Day, Service Sunday, God's Work Our Hands, all kinds of things, Sunday school, all kinds of things are going to be coming up here shortly. And we're in the midst of looking at those now and making decisions on those. So please pay close attention to your announcements over the next few weeks so you're informed of when things start and how they will be happening. It's exciting to think about, doing some of these things again that were done in the past, just as a way of continuing to grow in ministry, continuing to be renewed, regrouping, coming back, whatever words we want to use there. It's all just a matter of how we move forward, and the excitement, and yet the deliberate nature of it too. We have to be careful. We still have things to consider. The coronavirus is still a real thing, and we still have things to take into account. But know that we're working on that regularly and looking at different options as far as moving forward. For today's lesson, I want to start out with a tough question: is that how willing or able are you to be interrupted? How willing or able are you to be interrupted? I ask that because based on this coming Sunday's worship text, it made me stop and think about this a little bit. Jesus is out doing his thing with his disciples, and he's become so popular that they can't go anywhere without being interrupted. And we are just pressing in on Jesus and his disciples, and it's just, something. And I try to put myself in those shoes, and I know if I was there, I don't know how I would react. I'd probably feel a little bit overwhelmed, maybe a little bit frustrated, a little bit aggravated that this many people continue to come to me looking for help. And yet Jesus looks out over these people, and he sees them with compassion. That's the word, compassion. He sees them with compassion as like a sheep without a shepherd. And I'm so challenged by that. Because that doesn't always tend to be my attitude when people come to me, or when I'm interrupted, or when I'm trying to do something and someone stops me. I'm not quite sure that compassion is usually the first thing that pops into my mind. It's usually probably some sort of aggravation. But I was reminded here of something I learned several years ago. It's called holy interruptions. Holy interruptions. And these are moments in our lives that we don't anticipate or expect, but when something happens that makes a significant impact on our life. And when you think about it, my guess is most of the significant things that have happened in your life started with a holy interruption. Most of the significant things in our lives are not planned. They happen outside of our plans. And so what becomes important then is our ability in the midst of our everyday lives, in the midst of our schedules, our responsibilities, dealing with the issues we have in our lives, is to be open to and even to anticipate these holy interruptions where the Spirit directly comes into our life to provide something of significance for us. I was reminded here of something that is said in the book of Hebrews, chapter 13, verses 1 to 2, where it says, "Let mutual love continue. Do not neglect to show hospitality to strangers, for by doing that, some have entertained angels without even knowing it." And that's what these holy interruptions are. They're basically opportunities maybe for us to encounter angels without even knowing it. And what a wonderful thing that is, and what a wonderful thing it is to have that, because we need that in the midst of our everyday lives. Many times the responsibilities, the grind, just everything going on in life these days can really bring you down, and we need these holy interruptions, these holy times that really build us up. The other night I went to one of my kids' swim meet at the swim club. And I was just going there to support him and just to sort of, let him know I'm there for him. I really didn't have any high expectations of his first year. He's doing as good as he can, but being his first year, he's only able to do so much. And so I went, and all the parents sit around the outside of the fence and watch. And so I sat down next to this lady, and normally I don't talk a whole lot at these things, because usually it's the time finally where I can get away and just sort of relax and enjoy myself. But I found myself, I introduced myself to this lady, and she introduced herself to me, and we started talking. And before we knew it, I shared with her that I had come from Michigan. She said she was from Michigan, and I said, where? And the town she mentioned was right next to the town that I was in. And before long, we had this conversation and this camaraderie happen, and it just came out of nowhere. And I could tell how nice that was for me, to have conversation with someone, in a different capacity, just a casual conversation, and just and she started sharing with me some advice about living in the South, and it was just really, it was a holy moment, and I've had a lot of those in my life, when I can stop long enough and recognize and just take time to allow God to interrupt me, it's amazing what things can happen. But the reality is I know I also miss a lot of those opportunities, due to my not paying attention or being too focused on something or too overly busy. I miss out on a lot of those too. So over time, I've just tried to train myself on having the ability and the willingness to be interrupted. Now, this doesn't mean that, we don't get things done. That, there are times where I have to tell someone, let me finish what I'm doing, I'll get back with you. Or I have to tell my kids, I can't do that right now. I mean, this isn't, you go the other way and never get anything done and never be focused on anything. That's not what this is talking about. The key is always balance here. Is that in the midst of making sure we get done the things we need to get done, especially as it relates to our families and our work and stuff like that, it's also, being able to have the flexibility to be interrupted as well. Actually, I heard one time in a training seminar that I did, is that in your schedule, if you have every hour of your day scheduled, you have too many things going on, because you do not allow for any flexibility or any, other things that would pop up to be able to be taken care of. And so one of the things I've learned very intentionally is I don't overschedule myself. Because if I don't overschedule myself, it allows these interruptions to happen, and that's a very simple and easy way to do it. But we just need to be reminded that amidst still, having to deal with some quarantine, the pandemic, and all of the changes and the fluidity of that situation, is also be aware, be ready, anticipate these holy interruptions, where the Spirit comes to give us the support, the help, and the guidance that we need. We have that promise from our Lord, that He will be with us always to the end of the age, so we can anticipate these holy interruptions happening. Folks, it's good being with you again. I hope to see you all soon. Have a great summer. Be safe and take care of yourselves.